You freely decided to click on this video, or did you? Well, according to libertarian accounts of free will, you could have done otherwise, and some of your choices are free, and you are morally responsible for them. But is that really all possible? Well, philosopher Peter van Inwagen poses an objection to free will, known as the Luck Objection to free will. Let's imagine a scenario in which time is reversed to before you clicked on this video. Would you still click on it? And if we rewound time a million times, would the outcome always be the same? Well, if you believe in libertarian free will, you would probably say that it's possible that you could have chosen not to click on the video in at least one of these scenarios. But how is that even possible? Everything, your brain state, your chemical composition, even your environment is the same in this time travel scenario, but yet different outcomes arise. This is only possible with something known as indeterminate causation, which is just a fancy word to say that prior to an effect, the cause could be indifferent and yet there could be different outcomes. Well, that sounds exactly like what's going on in the strange time travel scenario, right? The cause is always the same and the effects are different. So we can have free will and exist happily ever after, right?
Wrong.
Well, not so fast. Remember that type of causation we just appealed to? Yes, indeterminate causation. Well, there's an issue with this, and that is that any effect that arises from indeterminate causes is due to luck. And you might wonder, why is that the case? What's the justification for that claim? Well, indeterminate causes lack something called a contrastive explanation, which is just a fancy way of saying that they don't explain why one thing definitely comes about rather than another. The cause of you clicking on this video can't explain why you clicked on it rather than why you didn't. Otherwise, due to this explanation, you would only have one option, which would have been to have clicked on the video. But notice that without a contrastive explanation for your actions, they're all ultimately luck. There is no reason for why you did X rather than Y, why you clicked on the video rather than didn't. These are just random arbitrary outcomes. Remember that at the start of this video, we noted that libertarian free will denotes a moral responsibility with at least some of your actions. This is actually an argument that libertarians use for their own view of free will. I mean, imagine if I pushed you into somebody. Would
Ouch!
you be morally responsible for the damage done to the person I just pushed you into? No, and that's because you didn't choose to fall into that person. It wasn't your fault. How could we punish this person for merely being pushed into someone? Well, a libertarian might argue that the legal system is unjust if determinism is true, if you had no ability to do other than your actions, because ultimately we're just determined to do so by bad luck. Perhaps bad environments have influenced you, or you were born with brain states that inclined you towards poor decisions. A libertarian might argue that you're no more liable for killing someone than being pushed into someone if determinism were true. But this argument all comes crashing back down on the libertarian when they realize that the free choices that you make, even under libertarian accounts of free will, are pure luck. I mean, consider again the analogy of rolling time backwards to the exact moment before you clicked on this video. Well, because nothing explains why you clicked on this video rather than why not, under libertarian free will, it sure seems like you ultimately have no control over your choices in these scenarios. So, how then can these free moral agents be really accountable for their actions? Well, a compatibilist might say that although we could not do otherwise, we ultimately choose to do what we want because we are determined by our desires to do so. And as those desires compose our character, we can justly punish some immoral actions of people in society. But compatibilism and other accounts of free will are not the focus of this video. If you have any questions, responses, or thoughts on the luck objection to free will that I've just given in this video, please feel free to keep the discussion going down below in the comments section. With that being said, God bless.